All right, what are we here to talk about today, bro?
A movie called Tenebre.
Tenebre here.
What'd you think of it, brother?
What did I think of it? You know what? I think I'm gonna let you go first, just so I don't jump straight into start bashing this Dario Argento film right off the bat. What did you think of it, bro?
Well, I mean, for a 4-hour movie, it definitely dragged on.
Well, it's not really a 4-hour movie. It's like an hour and 40 minutes, but you're saying it felt like a 4-hour movie.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. It was predictable. Like, obviously, from the beginning, I'm like, it's gonna be him. It's gonna be the writer. Somehow they're gonna make it the writer, and then they did through a slightly convoluted way.
Slightly convoluted. Slightly. Massively convoluted.
He found out who he was. He took him out, and then he became the killer.
Okay. Alright, so the whole plot of Tenebre is basically a writer, basically like a Stephen King knockoff. He's a horror writer. He writes about murders and whatnot. He goes to Italy to promote his new book, Tenebre, which is a book about someone who considers non-classic versions of sexual relationships, what's the word I'm looking for here? Taboo and kind of twisted and perverted and all that jazz. And goes around and, kills them for it. And this movie's about the writer promoting his new book, this book I'm just referring to. He goes to Italy for a big press tour, and while he's there, murders start occurring. Murders similar to what happens in his newest book, Tenebre. And all the murderers basically end up, in addition to being done in the style of the murders in his book, the murderer also delightfully shoves pages from the book Tenebre into the victim's mouths.
Only the first one.
Pardon?
Only the first one.
Was it only happened in the first one?
Yeah,
because I thought they mentioned another one of the murders that happened to.
If they did.
Okay, so at least one or two of the murders they do. Anywho, so we go through the movie and they try to do red herrings. Who could be the killer? Who could be the killer? Who could be the killer? And I followed your logic from the get go, and I agreed with you that they were going to try and reveal the writer was the killer, but there's no way the writer could have been the killer because of what we saw at the beginning. The first killing happens while the writer is still on the airplane flying to Italy. So I'm like, there's no logical way the writer could be the killer because it just wouldn't make sense at all. And then, of course, the killings keep happening, and the writer tries to work with the police to try to solve who the murderer is, and then the person who you think it could most likely be the best candidate for the murder is killed, and then the murders continue to happen. So you start going down the suspects of who it could be, and you start whittling down until they finally get to the point where they do make the writer the killer. But once you get to the end, the whole thing is opened up. So the news anchor guy from earlier in the film was the original killer, and he did all those prior to the point he died. All the killings in the film were done by him. Mm-hmm. The writer figured out this guy was the killer, killed him, so he can then assume the role as the killer and get some crazy revenge scheme he had boiling down into the back of his head, and also happened on the fly out of dumb luck. It's not like he really had this premeditated from the get-go. Mm-hmm. He got to Italy, this stuff started happening, and he saw a situation he could take advantage of to get his revenge killings in. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, he executes that. And I don't know, after the main killer dies, so he kills, 4 other people? Well, let's see. He kills his agent, he kills his ex-wife, he kills the male assistant, he kills the 2 cops. Am I missing anybody? Did he kill anybody else?
I
think those are the only 5 he killed.
I think so.
Yeah. And then his...
Maybe as well the one who that worked at the hotel was the daughter of like...
No, that was the other guy. I think he... No, I'm pretty sure that was the other guy. They took his...
The only reason why I would suggest that is because it was with an axe.
But if... Okay. So, yeah, you're following that logic, yes. But remember, when she is fighting off the initial killer, remember, she knocks... She closes the back door and knocks the blade, like the regular murder weapon out.
It.
I know, but then you saw him reach for the axe that was close by the back of his pool.
Yeah.
So I'm fairly certain that was still the original killer.
Okay.
What they did is they did that as a red herring. So later, when you see the other killer, which is the second killer, which is the writer killing with the axe, you start questioning things and thinking, "What? Well, this isn't making sense."
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that was the original killer, and they just did as a MacGuffin to throw everybody else off because they thought they were being so uber and clever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they start putting layers and layers and layers on this film. Why would the writer snap and become the second killer? Well, they reveal apparently he had an issue with his ex-wife, I guess, hooking up with his agent, and in my opinion, who cares? Because the way the movie's kind of set up is, he just by dumb luck, he gets the opportunity to get his revenge scheme going.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, who knew you were going to show up to Italy and all these murders are start occurring because some sycophant fan is living out his, like, perversion murder fantasy, right?
Yeah, no, definitely.
And it's like, what dumb luck is it going to be that your ex-wife is going to magically come to Italy to hook up with your agent?
Yep.
And because it's not really an affair, because she's his ex-wife.
Yeah.
So it's her moving on with his agent. So my point, I'd be like, yeah, man, if you're crazy enough to be with that crazy, that's on you, dude.
Yeah.
Because clearly he's in love with his female assistant anyways and wants to move on with her. So to me, it logically makes no sense. Yeah. So they have to give you a reason for the snap to make sense.
Yeah.
And then that's when they shove in at the end that, he's really been on medication this entire time. He's been having these reoccurring nightmares of this woman who's been murdered in his past. And the cop at some point reveals that there was this young girl who was killed in Rhode Island years ago that they couldn't initially pin on Peter, but they thought it was Peter, but they couldn't say anything. And of course, by the end of the film, they reveal, yeah, Peter did the killings. And, Peter did the killings, killed her because she wasn't who she said she was. Sorry about that, guys. She wasn't who she said she was, and I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to get accused of anything, or I also don't want to get demonetized by YouTube. But if you look it up, there's a reason why he snapped, because the thing he found out, which made him go overboard. Let's just say Jack was pretending to be Jill, and that's all I'm going to say on that. And that's the reason why he killed this girl. And then he harbored this murder, I guess, deep in his subconscious for years, where the fact it was giving him, like, night terrors, and which he was heavily medicated for. But see, these are little things they drop out throughout the movie and really force on you at the end, just so you buy the fact that he snapped. In my opinion,
I mean,
there was no need for the second killer. There was no need for the second killer.
No, you could have just had the one killer.
The one killer, yeah. And there was no reason for them to go cliche and make the writer the killer.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have actually had this as a really great opportunity for the writer to be the hero.
Mm-hmm.
And for the killer just to be the sycophant fan, which the initial killer was.
Yeah. And
they could have maybe, did a better job with the script, so it took longer to try to figure out who it is and what the motive is, why they're going after this. And because you could have really set up a sequel. Like, you could have had the writer character and essentially be like the star of a film series. Like, they totally missed the boat on franchises on this film.
Yeah.
By making the writer / protagonist of the story the second killer. Like, they could have opened it up and had him come back and try to solve murder after murder after murder, film after film after film, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But instead they just went like M. Night Shyamalan and tried to have twist after twist after twist just to make themselves seem clever and, introspective and try to put layers on top of layers just to try to make it all work, which it really doesn't by the end of it.
There were so many
It was
long scenes.
forced. Oh, I know. And this movie does drag on longer than it needs to be. It's around 40 minutes, but they could have cut at least a good 20 some odd minutes of this film because they really drag on. Because Dario Argento tries to show you, look, I'm an amazing filmmaker. Look at this great artistic shot I'm throwing in my B-level horror film.
You know, it's funny. Like the longest one of them all was when they went around the one building when when the two murders happened.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It was a great shot.
No, yeah, I was gonna say it's an amazing shot, but it was
sped it up a little bit.
But he put it in there to show you, look at this great technical marvel I'm throwing in the middle of this cheesy B film. Like it's basically, it was almost like trying to showcase, look what I can do as a director. Please give me a better film to do it in.
Right, yes. I wonder if he got it.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
He just basically stayed on the horror train for most of his life. But I think this film was him trying to showcase I can do more than that, but he just never got off the horror train, really.
Yeah, fair.
So overall, I would say I don't hate this film, but it's nowhere as good as some Argento fans make it out to be. Like, I love Dario Argento. He's one of my favorite classic B-horror film directors. But Tenebre, I don't feel is one of his stronger films. I'm sorry. I know there's a huge cult following for this film, especially with the Argento groups, like, who just absolutely love it. I see this as like more middle of the road. It's not as bad as some of his more modern work has been, but it's not as good as some people make it out to be. It's okay. He's done far better. So I'm gonna say yes. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's just okay for me. What do you think?
I definitely say I don't love it.
Be honest. If you don't like it, just say I hate this piece of shit.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's as I have before when I haven't liked a movie and you thought they were alright. I don't. Do I think it's okay? No, I think it's less than okay. Sure. I mean, give it a shot if you want to see the movie, but unless you really want to go see it, it's not one that'd be like, hey, this is a movie you should go see. It's just more like, if you've seen his work and you want to watch this one, go for it.
Sure, that's good enough for me. Yeah, anything else to add, bro?
Just that one scene where they like destroyed his luggage.
Yeah,
which was so stupid and never really explained.
Well, they try to explain away that his ex-wife did it, just to try to drive him mad. But there's no reason for him to try to drive him mad if she's trying to move on with his agent and he's trying to move on with his secretary. It's just as like an unnecessary scene in the film to try to, support the subplot of going after his ex-wife for revenge kind of thing.
It could have been his ex-wife too the whole time.
Yeah, she could have been another potential candidate to be the murderer, and in the end just ends up being a victim.
Stupid.
Yeah, I know.
I thought it was a bomb, to be honest, and was going to blow the plane up. I'm like, because you see, they do the shot of it.
Oh, yeah, they kind of like, did she
for
plant something in the suitcase?
And then it's
Is there an explosive device in there?
We're on the plane now.
No.
Oh, we landed. Oh, I got something for you. Oh, my bag's been
She
destroyed.
just decided to go in and rip up his clothes and pour tar over all. So it's okay. That she was able to do within the 30 seconds. He put his bag down to make the phone call and then went to...
Car, cuts it up, smashes the watch, like...
I know. The amount of time it would have taken to do what happened in that bag would have taken far longer than the time it took him to make the phone call, hang up, and look for his bag. I'm like, it took 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, she had 2 minutes to basically, do all that in and get it back there without getting caught or seen. It's like
somebody else did it too because they knocked on the boot.
Well, yeah, it's like she said, but still, regardless if it's the proxy female she sent to destroy the bag,
yeah,
because she didn't want to be seen, like that person still wouldn't have had the time to do what happened in that time frame. You know what I mean? It's just like, anywho.
Well, on that
note, any last closing words?
Like, share, subscribe.
No, jazz.
All right.
Comment. I have nothing else to add to this, so since I have nothing more applicable to say, I'm just going to say, alright everyone, have a good one. See you next time.
Adios.